Hey everyone, Jeff Sorry from the Practical Drummer here. Today I'm going to do a continuation of playing on the ands, and which is actually pretty good because I busted up my pinky pretty bad. So I can't use my left hand, which is usually my snare hand. So I'm going to show you, Def Leppard style, how to play with one hand. It's actually pretty interesting. I remember years ago I kind of broke another finger and I was playing very, very regularly. So I had to adjust and adapt and play a gig or a few gigs with one hand. And hurting my pinky has reminded me of that. And so I want to show you that it's actually pretty cool to omit one of the limbs. You can get very creative and still have a full drum sound. So I've been playing, I played a Rush song and a Queensryche tune, I Have a Stranger, and then the Rush song was Time to Stand Still, showing you that some drummers use this upbeat and feel to good effect, right? And so let's get creative. So I thought about this. I'm going to play the right hand on ands on this close hi-hat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? I'm going to play the quarter note with the left foot. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay, so that's the basic gist. I'm going to get a little creative in a minute. But just to get your body used to playing with one limb, let's add the snare. Since you're playing on ands, now the downbeats, which the snare is usually 2 and 4, it's free. So what I need to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So that's the right hand, the left foot, and the right hand playing two different sound sources. Again, I would usually hit the left hand, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but I can't do that because my poor pinky. So let's add the bass drum in, just a regular on 1 and 3, just see how it sounds. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 1. Now I'm hitting the shank of the tip, the shank of the stick, not the tip. The tip is a little bit more tinny, which is great for more subtle playing, but I really want to lay into it. Okay, so again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? It's interesting too, now the left hand, the right hand is playing 2 and 4, but you could also hit a cymbal on 1 to end the, say, a phrase, right? So I'll try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, you're playing pretty full with only 3 limbs, okay? So it sounds good. And you can do it because you're playing on the ands, which frees up the downbeats to do some of these things. But let's get a little bit more creative. Let's play a syncopated bass drum feel, and also maybe integrate 2 sound sources for the ands, just to make it a little creative. Also, I'm going to splash the left foot on quarter notes. So how that's achieved is to hit the heel on the downbeat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and, so I'm hitting the heel at the base of the pedal so it creates a splash. 1 and then I close it on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and, here we go. 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So that's a little bit slow. Up to speed, it would be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so that's just the left foot. The syncopated bass drum I'm going to play is just 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. Okay, E and with the left hand. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and see that? Kind of dances around, right? 1 E, 3 E, and okay, so getting the left foot going. 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, so that's that. So last thing is to, and I just came up with this on the spot. Again, you can train yourself. You could go through a whole barrage of different bass drum patterns with this ostinato on top, right? Which is very useful to get your bass drum independence going, independent of the hands. So I'm just coming up with this groove off the cuff. But now instead of just all the ands on the right, I'm going to actually, after the snare drum, I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so every other one is going to be a hi-hat or a cowbell. Okay, so let's try to get this going. And I'll play it a little bit slower, and then as I go, I'll kind of get it up to speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so you see I just messed up there, right? I went 2 and on that last measure where I stopped. Okay, so again, I'm just coming up with this and starting to practice this. If I had another minute or so, I would get it seamless probably every time and be able to bring the tempo up, right? So the whole point of this is to get creative with your drumming without a left hand to make it still sound pretty full, right? So I've added a splash, I've added a cowbell, I've added a hi-hat, I've added cymbal, a different syncopated bass drum feel. So I've added a lot of different components to make it sound like I'm a two-handed drummer still, right? And this is just good practice for you to take one of your limbs away. You can also get very creative with the left foot hi-hat. You know, you could do something like kind of like Thomas Lang does. Right, so alternating 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and you know, so you can do all sorts of cool things. But let's try to add a in the end here. Let's try to add a fill. Okay, so a good fill might be something like 1 E and 2 E. Something like that. We could do a polyrhythmic fill as well. You know, something like that. But let's keep the first one. So basically, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Okay, up to speed. Okay. So let's try to put that together with the groove. Okay, so you can see I didn't get it exactly right. Again, I'm coming up with this on the fly. But if you're playing this in a drum song, you know, you would want to make it more consistent so that it's exactly right every time. That's what I respect about, you know, a guy like Neil Peart who can do these complicated drum grooves every night the same way, right? It's incredible. So try out some different themes, some different rhythms, both with the bass drum. You could get creative with the hand. You don't have to just do ange. You can do different rhythms with the hand. But focus right now on the bass drum and holding the ostinato so you can gain up some independence with that bass drum line, right? So you can come up with some really cool, interesting drum lines just using the right hand, you know, with the left out of it. So next time, hopefully my fingers groovy so we can get back to some hand-to-hand drumming and all sorts of different things. But thanks so much. Take care.